this year.
No,
No, that would be
January.
next January. That would be next January.
Because it would be planning for the following year.
Yeah.
It'll be in January, preceding the reorganization.
Subject, okay. The terms of employment of superintendent, principals, and teachers for the school year following the effective date of the formation, so that would be the 11-12 school year, of the formation of the new district shall not be affected by the formation of the new district except in accordance with provisions of sections 279, and they're all 15, 18, or 24, which are superintendents, principals, and teachers. The authority and responsibility to offer new contracts or to continue, modify, or terminate existing contracts pursuant to 279. And there's a whole string of them for the school year beginning with the effective date of the reorganization. You know where I might have read that wrong. Shall be transferred from the boards of the existing districts to the board of the new district on the third Tuesday. Except in accordance with
The January prior to the school year of the reorganization is effective, so that would be this coming January.
Yes.
Because the
Now
school
what we're
year-
trying to decide is if you did want to reduce staff,
Oh, yeah,
who really can do that?
Doesn't understand.
That would lead you to believe that after the third Tuesday of January of next year, the individual boards come
I
out.
actually
and
think
we
you have
could.
the, I
This
think that
board
you,
could.
I think you actually have the authority, and it's in the last paragraph. It says if the district is subject to reorganization, notification of termination for a teacher shall not occur until after the first organizational meeting of the board of the newly formed district. I don't think the first paragraph makes as much sense to me as the other. The other day I thought I understood it, but I'm not sure I do. We may have to ask Joyce about that. I'm not sure that I have this right in here now that I look at it. But honestly, I don't know if I know what it means. Provision of sections 279, 15, 18, and 24, and the authority and responsibility to offer new contracts or to modify, continue, modify, or terminate existing contracts for the school year beginning with the effective date. This says that you guys have the authority to terminate.
Yeah. So starting this coming January.
We're going to want to check on that for sure. We'll clarify that so that your next meeting, Dr. Feeney's decision that's accurate. Let's move on to that next section. Collective bargaining agreement. The contract of the largest district is the base agreement for negotiating. So this year, what that means is you're just going to set the stock master contract aside, and when you start negotiating this year with the joint negotiations with the joint unions, you're going to be using the Wall Lake Auburn master contract to start from. That language, that salary schedule, that's the beginning of negotiation. And bargaining shall be completed by March 15th prior to the school year of reorganization or within 180 days after the reorganization vote, whichever is later.
I'm sure we get everything figured by March 15th. Shouldn't be a problem.
If you start in August, you'll probably be okay.
I like your spirit.
Oh, yeah.
Sick leave, accumulated sick leave continues into the new district. Open enrollment, good cause, it's really not applicable. So basically it's just saying that that if there were not enough notice for families to make a decision about open enrollment, that they would have to be given good cause as their reason to open enroll out, that they actually have a year and something to make those decisions. So they've got plenty of time to do that. So in this particular case, because you voted more than a year, almost 2 years in advance, a year and a half in advance, good cause would not be something that you'd have to recognize. Then beginning on page 67, there's a section in here called Chapter 6, which is dissolution. So it's just talking about districts that dissolve. And the next section, Chapter 7, is merger and studies by the Department of Education. And Chapter 8 is athletics and reorganization, dissolution, and bulk rate sharing. And we're now in Chapter 9, which is finance and reorganization, dissolution, and bulk rate sharing. So in that chapter, if we skip to page 67, we start with final filings. It's talking in that section about what are the final reports related to finance that the individual boards need to file, and then what is it that the new district needs to file. So it talks right in that paragraph about the fact that the certified annual report, the final annual audit, and the final transportation report are all filed on behalf of those two individual districts yet. So those are the first things that it talks about. It also talks about things where we claim reimbursement for something like foster care claims, non-public transportation claims, and special education claims for foster care or district court are filed by those original districts as well. And once those claims are made on behalf of the districts, or those filings are made to give the annual summative reports to the Department of Ed, then everything else after that becomes the reporting of East Sac County schools. It says an audit is required of a district that is merged. However, it need not be a full audit. Well, both of the districts use the same audit firm. You already reviewed each other's audits this school year as well. If there's any discussions about merging monies, the Department of Auditor of the State of Iowa can be part of how they can provide assistance, it says in that paragraph, just to reconcile how those funds are merged or blended. But more of that issue would come up if the districts had any debt, and how you were going to resolve the payment or the assumptions of debt. So not having debt in the districts makes this a whole lot different and a whole lot less stressful, I think, for everyone. Unemployment claims. There aren't going to be two districts, so those two districts, the Sac and Lakeview Auburn, will no longer exist. There can't be claims against them in the future, and if there is, then it just talks about the fact that the Iowa Code talks about how Iowa Workforce Development has to reconcile how unemployment claims are handled then. Permanent records is really not applicable because the permanent records already follow the students. So that's not a problem. Sharing of reorganization costs, that just comes up again. And so if there are any future reorganization costs, let's say that you do have an attorney help you with determining what the method of election is going to be. Those expenses are jointly expensed, just like we expense things at the current time. Reduction in property tax levy. And it's talking about a reorganized district, so levy a foundation property tax of $4.40 per $1,000 of assessed value on all taxable property which in the year preceding a reorganization was within the school districts affected by the reorganization. And then for each of the next 3 years, that slowly increases from $4.40 to $4.90, and then from $4.90 to $5.15, and from $5.15 to $5.40.